Hi, so welcome to the third episode of the Angry Microwave podcast. I'm Callum, and we have Andrew.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, nice haircut, by the way. I've just seen.
Ah, thanks.
I'm Braxton,
Howdy.
the second American on the podcast. So Braxton writes for a site, and Andrew is a friend of the podcast, ish.
Yeah. Supposed
Well,
to
not
be supposed to be on occasionally, and so far been on the only 3 episodes. So
yeah, exactly. So
see how long I can keep this going
you're on a home run.
now you're the co-host.
till they realise I'm an imposter.
What imposter of what?
For the podcast, I don't know.
Okay. Well, life on the edge. Is that what you do? Just go around like imposting on?
Yeah, you see me on everyone's podcasts.
So our first topic is Bethesda have announced an E3 conference. Did you guys know about this or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited. I think we'll see Fallout 4 for sure.
Oh, okay, but the interesting thing is like an hour long, which
Okay.
means like as much as everyone would want it,
Right.
they're not going to show Fallout 4 for an hour.
No, yeah. I think we'll just get a brief teaser and maybe a release date because we know the game's been being worked on for however many years now, and I think they're ready to get it out there, and I think they'll just slap a release date on it. I think if they wait too long and have this big cycle of hype and release it, later into 2016, people are going to start second guessing what they're doing. I think they have confidence in their product, and I think they're going to get the release date out there right away.
Yeah, I
Well,
think if it's not, there's going to be some riots going on the
Yeah.
day.
Well, they've kept off on like officially commenting on it for like
Right.
5-6 years now, anyway. So
Right.
so I reckon it'll be announced in June and then maybe come out November time. But like they're
Yeah.
one of the only companies, along with Valve with Half-Life 3, that could release like a game like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
It has the fan base that would just put money down right away.
like imagine if the game came out the same day. Like I so want a publisher to do that. Just like
Yeah.
Half-Life 3
Yeah,
or
That
or
would be
that.
so ballsy.
It'd do what Kim Kardashian couldn't do and break the internet.
It actually would. You see, like the bandwidth of like all the internet connections go up massively. Just everyone downloading the same thing.
Yeah.
So what else do you think will be announced? Like I'm thinking probably Wolfenstein 2 maybe gets like a short tease saying next
Yeah.
year, or what are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I would love to see Wolfenstein. I absolutely loved The New Order this year. Did you guys play that game?
Yeah, it was amazing. I finished it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I loved
halfway
it.
through. Don't
Such
judge.
a surprise. Such a surprise. I went into that game with pretty low expectations and was blown away. It was my favorite first-person shooter this year, and I gave it a Game of the Year nominee for the little Game of the Year thing I did on my website. So yeah, I would love to see a sequel to that game.
Well, the
I
engine's
think
like super polished now anyway, so
Yeah, right.
so it seems it would mainly be content that they'd have to put in.
Exactly. Exactly.
Which within 2 years is kind of realistic because the engine was fine and it looks
Yeah.
amazing. So
Yeah, again-
surely,
Super polished engine. I'm assuming you haven't played the PC version. You must have played it on console then.
Yeah, I would
yeah,
play
PS4. Why was it really broken on PC?
There's lots of texture popping and things. Like you turn round and turn back and everything will load back in. But I think they might have fixed it by now. But it was a problem.
Oh, that's crazy! Like on PS4, it was such a polished game. Like I didn't
Yeah.
have any issues with it.
Yeah, I was surprised how good it looked. It was one of the best looking next gen games, I think.
So what else do you think could be announced? Maybe Dishonored 2, or it's been a long time since anything's been spoken about Dishonored, or
Yeah.
Yeah. I think with the way the expansions weren't being so popular, and the way that's done, everything's been good. I think there could be more.
Yeah, me too.
yeah. So I reckon there's going to be 3 things announced probably.
Yeah.
One of them
What
probably be
about
the Doom.
remasters? What about remasters? I mean, like Skyrim and previous Fallouts. Do you think they'll go that route, or do you think they'll put their resources into, pumping out new products?
I don't see them doing a remaster of Skyrim just because
Yeah.
it looked great on PC already and there's
Right.
enough mods and stuff. It doesn't really.
Yeah, I
need
think
to be
that's where its
remastered.
biggest fan base is already too on PC right now.
So I reckon there'll be 2 game announcements and then there'll be the Doom multiplayer beta because that's already been announced with the Wolfenstein because they gave out the beta code and nothing's been spoken of that yet. So I reckon they may do like a Battlefield last year and say it's live now. and do that, and then two other things like Fallout 15 minutes, but that's a bit too generous maybe.
Yeah,
But
I think so.
that and another game. That's what I think. So
Yeah, Doom's a good call. They could do a lot on that, and be interesting to see what they do with it.
so any other E3 predictions like Last Guardian maybe or?
I think it's time. I think it's time to at least see something from The Last Guardian. I mean, how many years have we been talking about this game? Like 7 or 8? They talked about it on last night's Beyond, and they talked about The Last Guardian, the first Beyond they did, episode 1, and like just Colin Gregg just left at 381. We talked about that long, so I think it's time, but I guess we've been saying that for a couple of years now.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if it was Last Guardian, Fallout 4, and now it's in the same E3. I mean, you only need Half-Life 3 to complete that.
Yeah, people would lose their minds. That would just take over Microsoft and Sony's press conferences.
Do you know what would be amazing? Like, all these massive E3 announcement, and then Valve comes out like a week after with Half-Life 3, and then just basically goes, bye everyone, and then just has like own game.
Yeah, just Gabe Newell comes on, says it, and then just drops the mic. And just
drops the
mic. So I don't really know like what else could come out. So that's it for that topic.
Cool.
Yeah. So our next topic, it broke 2 nights ago. Well, every few days ago when this goes up. But Spider-Man joining Marvel.
Yes! We finally did it! Oh my gosh, it's about time.
Everyone expected for like months is finally be confirmed out of the blue. Like the news came out over here about 5 a.m. in the morning, which is such a weird time for it to come out. Like even in the US, it was late evening. It's just so it was such a weird way to release the news.
I know. I saw somewhere that they didn't have to pay anything to get him back.
Yeah, it's really weird. Basically, so Spider-Man can be in Marvel films, but basically Sony want the hype of Marvel in their own films, so they make the money back from there.
Yeah. Right. It's a kind of confusing situation, but I think it's really a win-win for everybody because we're getting Marvel producing Spider-Man content, which is what we've all wanted.
Yeah, saying that, we've not seen a bad film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Imagine if it came out a bit more like The Amazing Spider-Man with the reboot. That would be a bit disappointing.
Well, the weird news that came out yesterday was that they still want to carry on the Sinister Six with the new Spider-Man.
Right.
Which is very weird because Sinister Six is meant to link into, obviously, the Amazing Spider-Man films. But now they're basically gone, oh no, we've got to keep those films but add them to the new Spider-Man.
It's really confusing. I don't really know what they're doing with that. Does that mean they'll just trash what they did with Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, or is that getting... I don't think they won't use him. They won't use Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, correct?
Yeah. He's already confirmed that. It's been confirmed that he's not going to be in it because like apparently he was offered it in a talk a few months ago.
Yeah.
This came out today, but apparently he didn't want to do it because it's all messy anyway. But it's such a shame because like he was the only positive point in those films. Like everyone said how well he was as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And it was the world around him that basically let the films down.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I think. I thought he was a great Spider-Man. I didn't really care for the first 2 Amazing Spider-Man movies, and I'm glad they're handing him back over to Marvel. My only big worry with all this going on is making sure the Marvel Cinematic Universe doesn't get convoluted or get confused with what it's trying to do with implementing Spider-Man into that world. Because at this point, it's all so far fleshed out, especially with all the stuff that happened in Winter Soldier, and then you have Spider-Man coming in just out of the blue. Why haven't they addressed that already? It just seems like the world would kind of get convoluted, depending on how they do it. I have faith in them that they're going to be able to pull something off, but it seems like Spider-Man is like this great superhero that should have already been mentioned if he's going to be part of the cinematic universe, but obviously they couldn't do that because of Sony having the rights.
See, the thing is that it's kind of good it's coming in now because when they eventually get rid of the first lot of Avengers, which is going to happen eventually, like they're going to lose the majority because of the way the contracts and how they age. Already.
Right.
So like it's kind of good that there's a solid character in the second lot of Avengers. But the thing is, like he's meant to be appearing in Civil War. It's rumored because they've already confirmed he's going to be in one film for the Avengers. But that comes out. Yeah, but that comes out 2016, I think. So that's next year, or
Yeah.
2 years away.
Yeah.
See, the worrying thing is the script is normally locked down by now. So are
Yeah.
they going to just like shoehorn in some like generic Spider-Man scenes?
Right.
Be
Yeah.
like,
I hope they don't do that. I want a really good introduction, but I don't want a rehashing of his origin story. We've seen that so many times before. I mean, from the reading the comics, the cartoons to both of the movie franchises. I don't want them to do the whole Uncle Ben everything, again, because we already know that, and I think a lot of people that are going to be going to see the movie already know that. So I hope they don't and I hope they don't shoehorn them in either. Like, don't address an origin story. Just expect people to kind of know what's going on.
Yeah, they've got a very tricky job there doing that, and then if it not seeing shoehorned in and not really doing that again, it's going to be quite
Yeah,
difficult.
I just picture Marvel just losing their mind right now out of stress.
Yeah, they'll just pretend Spider-Man was there all along.
So do you think the best way to introduce him would maybe be in the famous scene where he pulls his mask off? Because if no one knew who that actor was, and then for the first time, that would be amazing.
Yeah, that's the first thing that came to mind, just flipping through that comic again where when he does reveal himself. Spoilers. But I think that would be a super cool thing, to have that shock, because we already know who's under the mask. It's Peter Parker. But to not know who the actor is under the mask, I think that's one of the only ways they can, interject what they did in the comics and having that shock value of, oh my gosh, the world knows who Spider-Man is. It's Peter Parker. It's going to kind of be the same thing, like, this is the new actor, and like, don't show it on IMDb. It's kind of like what they did with Interstellar. Have you guys seen that yet?
Oh yeah, with a certain person that we're not going to say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I still haven't seen it. Don't judge me.
But like, I couldn't find that on. I don't believe that was on IMDb before the movie came out or anything. So that sort of reveal and that scale of a reveal, like where you have audience members go, "Oh my gosh, that's so and so." I think that would be so cool.
Yeah, the thing that disappointed me about it being announced now is that Avengers: Age of Ultron comes out in May. Imagine that. Imagine that post-credit sequence.
Yeah.
Seeing Spider-Man for the first time, and
Yeah,
no
I think
one
they're
fully
rethinking
knew.
all their post-credit sequences now.
That just would have been amazing for it to be confirmed in that
Yeah.
way. And it's
Yeah.
not really that far away. It's 3 months away.
Yeah.
If
Yeah, I
it-
found it slightly anticlimactic with what they did. Like, it just came out. It was like, yeah, I'm freaking out and everything, but I would have lost my mind if I was in the theater and saw that.
Well, yeah, like even imagine like the Marvel conference a few months ago, like if they did another one saying that,
Right.
and then Spider-Man in suit came out on
Yeah.
the stage,
Start slinging through.
that would have been absolutely amazing. But so what do you think about it? Do you think it's a good move or a bad move overall?
Yeah, well, it's a win-win for everyone. I mean, Sony get the extra hype, and Marvel gets to use Spider-Man. I don't think there's anything possibly that could be bad about it unless something doesn't turn out well. But it's the first Spider-Man film in ages that isn't being made just to retain the rights to Spider-Man, so
Yeah.
that's a benefit.
Do you not think
I'm
though that Marvel are taking a risk in tarnishing their name?
Yeah.
Because Sony is still making the standalone films. Like they've got some creative control.
Yeah.
But if they put out a plonker of a film, that's on Marvel's back, and it'll be Marvel's first like flop.
Yeah, I think it's weird. The studios are really depending on each other, and Marvel hasn't disappointed yet, at least in my eyes, but Sony definitely has. I really didn't like the second Amazing Spider-Man. Thought it was, a fine movie to, stuff your face with popcorn, but I just thought it tried to do so much that it kind of lost the magic of Spider-Man. At least that's what I thought. And I think these two studios being super dependent on each other puts a lot more pressure on Sony and Marvel, Marvel wants to stand behind a product that's, you're going to be like, that's a Marvel film. When you see the opening credits and it has that sweet logo, they still want to have that power. And I think if Sony starts putting out, worse films than, Amazing Spider-Man 2, I didn't like that movie, but I don't think it was the one that really puts a stain on, on Marvel or the Spider-Man license. So I think that they're going to really have to try to balance that with these films coming out. I think that's going to be a pretty tedious task, honestly.
Yeah. So on a tangent slightly, the second biggest character they could have in is the Wolverine. Do you reckon that would ever happen because the Wolverine is Hugh Jackman? It's not like Spider-Man where they can go.
Right.
But it's Hugh Jackman. Do you reckon that could ever happen, or do you reckon it'd be way too complicated in trying to explain that it's Hugh Jackman,
I don't know.
but it's not in that universe, and it's all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it would probably get too complicated when you're balancing these 3 universes from 3 different studios. You got Fox, Marvel, and Sony. I'm already confused. I'm just thinking about it. I can't imagine trying to piece together a movie about it. And it's like, so Days of Future Past doesn't take place in the same world that Age of Ultron did, or Amazing Spider-Man. It's too much. I think they've already. I don't want to say back themselves in a corner with the Spider-Man thing. I just think it's going to be a hard thing to justify. This is in one universe and this is in the other universe, and to drive that home for the people that are casual moviegoers. People like us that are just read this news and totally freak out. I mean, there's some people that aren't gonna know or care until they watch the movies and be like, "What? That's a different actor, but it's still Spider-Man." And I think in the movies they're gonna have to show that to the casual moviegoer that's not knows everything about these different studios undertaking these different franchises.
I mean, they could always take like the multiverse route and to write him in, but I think if they were offered to use Wolverine in there, I don't think Marvel will take it up and say yes on that one.
Yeah, I think they have their hands full now. I mean, we'll see how this whole Spider-Man thing goes. Maybe they knock it out of the park and find a stride to keep going with, and they're like, what, let's take on Wolverine. And I think now it's too early to say if I would want that. I want to see what they do with Spider-Man. And I think if they pull it off, sure. If they think, I trust Marvel. I didn't know much about Guardians of the Galaxy, and that movie was one of the best movies of this whole year. And
go ahead. Yes, like the thing is, like Quicksilver's in both universes, but they're massively different.
Right.
And the problem with bringing the Wolverine over is that it's so defined by the accent. Quicksilver wasn't.
Right.
So overall, hopefully it'll all work out, but. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm sure it will be fine. So on to our next topic. So the BAFTA Awards were announced the other day for video games. It's basically the biggest game awards in the UK, the British Academy Game Awards. So do you want to run through some of the categories and maybe say just a few of them?
Yeah, that sounds great.
So sorry, let's get this up here. So best game's quite an interesting category. Alien Isolation, Destiny, Dragon Age, Mario Kart 8, Middle Earth, and Monument Valley.
Ooh.
That's interesting. Monument Valley's in there.
Yeah, see, it's such like a small thing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the game. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think that seems weird. It got put in that category.
See, the weirdest thing is that Alien Isolation is in the nominations, but from the reviews that came out before, the UK loved Alien Isolation. So basically, like all the publications giving it 8 or 9 out of 10.
Right.
And then as soon as you went to the American sites like IGN,
right, 5.9.
Yeah, it was just such a weird thing to see such a massive different scores.
Yeah.
Just because of the region, it was such a weird thing to see.
It's like a game you're either gonna love it or hate it. Like just the people I've talked to, and I played a little bit of it, and I don't consider myself much a survival horror guy, but I do enjoy a good survival horror game, and I think they really captured in Alien what those original movies felt like, and that's what brought me in, because Alien, those are some of my favorite movies of all time, and just the aesthetic in the movies really carried over into the game well. But I just heard play the first 4 hours, and then the rest of the game is kind of just throwaway or redundant or whatever.
Yeah, false endings every hour.
Yeah.
To the 16th hour. See, the thing that made that game for me was the fact it was a dynamic soundtrack. Like it was annoying, basically the AI and the soundtrack to work together. So it made it so much more tense to play.
Yeah, it's nice to get rid of a bit of the HUD and do it all through music and things. It's like quite a nice way of doing it. Love seeing that. Yeah.
So next category is a bit of a weird one. It's best British game. So we have 80 Days. That I don't know what that is. Do you know?
That's a mobile game. I'm not too sure on it. It's sort of a take on Around the World in 80 Days, but I'm not.
I think it's a weird I don't want to. I'm not 100% sure what I think it's a turn-based kind of world domination game where it's like a travel game, but you're trying to take over regions and stuff. I believe that's what it is. I just saw it on the App Store.
Okay. Alien Isolation's also in there, which is obviously made in Britain. So Guildford, I think, it's made in. Forza Horizon 2, that I didn't know was made over here. So that's quite a nice surprise.
That's cool. I didn't know that either.
Geometry Wars 3 Dimensions. I haven't played it, but it seems more the same. If you like Geometry Wars. Lumino City. I don't know. Do you know that or?
Nope.
No.
And then Monument Valley as well. So the weird thing about that was that Little Big Planet 3 wasn't in there, which I think's made in Britain. Just double check that. But
Oh wait,
because, go on, sorry.
no, Little Big Planet 3 wasn't by Media Molecule, was it?
No, it was
Yeah, I
Sumo.
think it was by Media. Wasn't it by Media Molecule?
I thought it was
No,
a different for this one.
No, it was in partnership, but it was Sumo
Okay.
Digital, which is based in Sheffield,
Oh,
Gotcha.
yeah.
which seems a bit weird for it to not be in there, because as much as it wasn't a massive success, it was still quite a big British game to be made over here. So that was a shame to see that in the British game category.
Yeah, much bigger than a lot of those games in that category for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see what else.
At least by name recognition.
Oh, wait. This is a very interesting category. Mobile and handheld. So you have 80 days. Hearthstone, the best game made. Hitman Go, which is quite good. Monument Valley. 3. Andrew knows why. I basically got addicted to it for like ages. Because it's
Really?
one of those games. And then The Walking Dead Season 2, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Because those games don't tend to run very well on
They
mobile.
don't run on mobile. No, they don't.
I think it's very interesting seeing a mobile and handheld category with no 3DS or Vita games really on there. I mean, Walking Dead Season 2 is on
Yeah.
there, but they're all mobile games. It's
Yeah.
knocked out like Smash Brothers for 3DS and everything.
Yeah, I think
That's
that's kind of
crazy
a
to see that.
testament to the times too. I mean, more people are playing on their phones, than a Vita or 3DS, and I think that's kind of weird that this mobile gaming scene is seeped over into the medium of gaming. I really separate the two. I think it's a completely different thing. If you look at a mobile game like you would your average AAA game, something like Grand Theft Auto or Assassin's Creed, you just can't go in with that expectations and expecting that quality of game on a phone. And I think that's what the Vita set out to do. But for a lot of people, it didn't really come through. You had the first couple AAA launches when the Vita launched, but I don't really think it worked out for them.
That's what makes me like things like Hitman Go, because it just takes the very, very core mechanics of something like Hitman and repackages it in something completely different that works well for a mobile.
Yeah. Right.
That's quite interesting for those two. Like those two were quite big franchises, like Hitman and World of Warcraft, and they managed to somehow transfer it to a mobile game very well. It was a lovely surprise because you see these like Assassin's Creed games on your mobile, which let's be honest, especially a cash cow or multimedia thing.
Yeah.
But to get these two games that are based off like quite famous franchises and for them to come out great was such a pleasure to see.
Yeah, and I thought Hitman Go was brilliant. It's one of my favorite mobile games of all time. I have it on my phone and play it whenever I have a chance. It's so smart. It takes the feeling that getting while playing a Hitman game on a console or a PC or whatever, and it brings that to the handheld in a perfect way. It's totally optimized for it, and I think it takes everything that's great about board games and tension from the Hitman franchise, and then in the mobile game there's those sections where the assassination missions, and it has the Hitman theme playing, and I thought that was a perfect little touch, and then Monumental Valley or whatever, I thought it's a great mobile game too, one of those that really fits the device it's working on, and it's like this is. And I don't really care for the Candy Crush or Subway Surfer stuff, like that quick fix stuff. It's fine. It's not really my thing. But when something special and something intimate that takes what you love about console gaming and the medium of gaming in general and puts it on your phone, that's something special. And I'm glad to see those two recognized.
Okay, great. So the awards actually happens on March the 12th in London. Same weekend as Res, which is basically like an indie game festival. Like me and Andrew have been before. It's really nice. It's in London this year. So, yeah. So next up we have Better Call Saul again, carrying from next week. Like all three of us have now seen the first 2 episodes, I think, yeah?
Yep.
So what do you think?
I thought it was great. I'm down. It's something I didn't really want. I thought Breaking Bad is the best show of all time. But just watching the pilot and the second episode, I realized how much I really missed that world and that direction from Vince Gilligan and the actors and how it's shot and how it's edited and how the story is told. That is something it's just something on my life that's been missing since I finished Breaking Bad, and it's so cool to have that back and feel like Breaking Bad too, and at the same time not be like a carbon copy of this Breaking Bad is one of the darkest shows ever made for sure. And this sure has those dark moments, but has this comedic timing. With Saul being the lead, he had great comedic moments in Breaking Bad, and for him carrying the show, I was pretty skeptical because I thought he was a great character in Breaking Bad. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't think he had the power to carry a whole show by himself. But obviously, Vince Gilligan proved us all wrong.
Yeah. One of the interesting things that Ange said last week, which I thought was a bit iffy, but it turned out true. It's shot on digital, and you can tell the difference between film and digital.
You definitely can.
Like I watched it, and I was like, it's so much clearer, but it loses something from it, especially in the Breaking Bad world.
Yeah, and I think that's intentional, to be honest. I think that they're wanting to go a new direction with the mood and the tone that they're set up, and I think with Saul's storyline and his personality, it fits digital better. It's a bit more clearer, with Breaking Bad, that the grittiness that you had with film. I think that was Vince Gilligan's choice, and I think he has the resources to shoot Better Call Saul in film if he wanted to. So there's a clear reason why they didn't do that. At least I think.
Yeah, it does give it a bit of a different feel, a bit of its own thing. This show. You can think of it as, do you think you would have enjoyed it as much if it wasn't related to Breaking Bad? If there was none of the returning characters, these are all new characters, would you have enjoyed it at the same level? That's
the thing with it. Like in the first episode, we got basically 2 or 3 nods to people that we've already seen. I won't spoil it because I haven't seen it yet, but you get 2 or 3 nods to characters that are in it. They can't sustain that for 12 episodes in this series. I think it's 12 episodes. So it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out, because the first 2 episodes is here's X person, here's X person.
Right. And I hope they don't force feed us those cameos.
Yeah. It's one of those things. Let it get really off to a good start because there's existing people that the viewers would know about. No other TV shows really have that privilege just to be able to throw in characters and just for the first time reveal them and people know exactly who they are. So they use that to good effect in the pilot there, I think.
Yeah, I thought it's a well-made prequel that does what prequels are supposed to do, and at the same time, it's not something that somebody who hasn't seen Breaking Bad can't pick up and get the same thing out of it. They're like, who's this? I won't say the guy, but when in episode 2, the conflict with one of the characters from Breaking Bad returns, and that feeling of knowing that guy and how dangerous he is from what we've seen in Breaking Bad, that wouldn't have been there for somebody just watching Better Call Saul for the first time and having not seen Breaking Bad. So I think it speaks to a niche audience in a way, but I guess that's fine.
Yeah, see, the thing with that scene is that you kind of lose the tension in the scene. Like in Breaking Bad, you basically know that any character can go like that, instantly. Yeah. But when they're again, I won't spoil it, but when the main character's in the threat, you're just watching it laid back, going, how is he going to get out of this?
Right.
Rather than in the other ones, anyone could have gone in the previous series any time.
Yeah.
But it just loses quite a bit of tension because he's going to get out of that quite unharmed.
But I couldn't see them killing off Walt halfway through Breaking Bad, but with this, you get the same thing, but it's more like the villains as well. You don't see. I'm not going to name them, but you don't see them just. You know that they're safe as well, which makes a difference because they can't just go and kill them.
Right.
And the other one, Jesse could have been killed off quite early on. He was originally meant to be killed off in the first series, so you don't know if or when he gets killed off in that series.
Right.
But in this, you know that Saul Goodman's going to live throughout fine, and then you've got all the other villains that are going to go on fine. So it's a bit of a weird thing to try and build tension when you know there's going to be no lasting outcome of that.
Right, and I think that's something that all prequels struggle with. No matter what medium it is, if a character that exists in a further along timeline, they're not going to get harmed. And I think the way or Better Call Saul is going to handle that is it's going to put other characters in the same situation that were not in Breaking Bad. And you saw that happen in episode 2. You know, when Saul's in danger, there's 2 other people there with him that could just be killed. You know, and that's where the tension comes from.
Like when you see like a new villain, you can kind of presume that his life is not really that valuable and it might just go any minute, rather than the other things like where you're invested. So it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with it. But the other problem was, by the way, I did love it, even though I'm being quite negative on it.
Yeah.
But it was originally pitched as way more comedy, but it feels like Breaking Bad. Like Breaking Bad had comedic value, so like this did, and it kind of feels like the first 2 or 3 seasons at the moment. Like I thought it was going to be quite different when it's kind of the same theme and stuff at the moment.
Yeah, me too. And watching the trailers and some of the promotional stuff that they did for the show before it came out, it looked like they were going for a much more comedic tone. And it was kind of off-putting for a little bit, but I think I like that about Breaking Bad and the world of Breaking Bad is that it's a drama, but it has these moments of comedy which would exist in the real world. You know, if they would have made Saul super animated and this side of the show almost cartoonish, I think that's great, and that's something they could have done, depending on how stylized they could have done it. But I think what they decided to do, taking that feeling that Breaking Bad had with those, the laughable moments, makes it feel like it was in that world. And I think that kind of comforts fans, at least it did for me, knowing that this isn't a show that's going to take those type of tone chances. And I thought that the tone throughout the first 2 episodes was great.
Yeah, I think in that opening 2 minutes there, I think my expectations changed a lot. I was thinking, it's going to be quite different. It's going to be a bit brighter, and then they see that and you think, okay, this is a lot like Breaking Bad. But saying that, it's way brighter at the moment. There's not... They haven't... Like, in the first episode, it didn't get anywhere near as dark as the episode 1 of Breaking Bad did. Well, even though it got quite close to episode 2. I think, it's going to stay a bit less heavy for a while, which I'm excited to see.
Yeah,
and the rating is different, right? Better Call Saul's TV-14 and Breaking Bad was TVMA, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. Like over here, anything past 9 o'clock is just like past 9 o'clock. So, and even then, it's on demand over here. But so basically the timeline you see in the first 2 episodes. I won't say much else again in case you haven't seen it. But we see the timeline spread across quite a while. Do you think we'll see that frequently, or do you reckon that was just a thing in the first episode? To say this is something that happened, or do you reckon there'll be flash forwards more frequently? Or
I really want to see, like in season 2 of Breaking Bad, that continuing scene between the episodes. If we see that, then it continues straight on from that every couple of episodes
to teddy bear and everything.
To bleed in. Yeah. If we do that for that intro, leading on to something else, that would be incredible.
Yeah, and that's what I think they're going to do. So I think we'll see a few more of those post Heisenberg moments throughout season 1, and I'm super excited for that.
Do you reckon it will ever not be a prequel? Do you reckon it may evolve to be a sequel, or?
I think.
I don't know. I think it might. I think it'll, at least for season 1. I think it's going to definitely stay a prequel. But I think I've just listening to interviews. Vince Gilligan and the other creators really don't know where they want to take it, and that was kind of interesting because. When they started Breaking Bad, they saw an outcome and they knew where they were working towards. And it seems like here they've built this world, they've established this world, and really what they can do is limitless. And I would love to see them, go post Heisenberg. I think the mood is so depressing after what happened. Not going to spoil anything, but you see Saul in that opening scene. And you really feel what he's feeling, and I think that was done through the black and white and those just amazing camera angles.
See, the thing that also kind of put me down a bit, I have to say I do love it, but there is a few things that's bit me about it. Like I loved it way more. I've basically got 2 gripes. The first one is Vince Gilligan, when this started as a concept of the prequel, was like, I'm gonna assist in making it, but I'm not gonna be the showrunner. But by the interviews he's done, he seems to be on set for most of it and involved in the writing process and everything. A lot more than he originally was. Personally,
and it says he's the co-creator. When it pops up.
Yeah, but I personally would have preferred to have seen him gone off and done something else, and then let the guy that showrunner have the reins on it. Not because not because the show like doesn't need him, because it kind of does, but I reckon it could have been fine without him on this certain bit. But like imagine a new IP by Vince Gilligan. Like it's been nearly a year and a half now. There could have been a new Vince Gilligan show out by the end of this year if he wasn't doing this.
Yeah.
Something completely new and completely different. Do you not think that would have been nice to have like Better Call Saul with that showrunner and then a new show by Vince Gilligan? Or
Yeah, well, I really see him just being in here for season 1, then pulling out afterwards. I think it's given like huge amount of confidence to the viewers as well. So I would be way more skeptical.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Andrew. I think he's gonna kind of like what David Fincher did with House of Cards. You know, he was a consultant on season 1 and then let it off to all the other writers to take care of season 2, and that the mood carried over, and everything David Fincher did in season 1 of House of Cards was apparent in every other episode of that show. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen here.
But then he said in the pilot that basically he was going to direct the pilot and then let it go. Do you think he's got maybe attachment issues with it? Like, because Breaking Bad is his baby, and then maybe that's why it's not so comedic, because he wanted to be involved after seeing the pilot and basically gone, I want to be involved more than this. And now he's ended up having basically a more suppressed dark tone on the series because Vince Gilligan has stayed, rather than a more comedic value because he didn't go.
Yeah, I think he does have attachment issues, but I'm kind of glad he does. I think I would have liked to see Better Call Saul go in a more comedic tone, but I'm really happy with what the 2 episodes have shown. And I think in the way I think they're playing it safe, but at the same time, Breaking Bad never played it safe. It was about safety of these characters, but the show was just this elusive beast. And in a way, I think that's what Better Call Saul will become. And just looking back on some of the first episodes of Breaking Bad and comparing those 2 tones from Better Call Saul episode 1 and 2 and Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul is lighter, clearly, but it still has that menace to it, and that it's shot in the same place in Albuquerque, and it has that Albuquerque feel. And knowing what happened in Breaking Bad, and how what happened with Heisenberg and everything, and what happened. I'll be careful. But how it affected so many people, and how it affected the viewer, really. I mean, coming off of Breaking Bad, there's something that everybody got from that show. And having that in the back of your mind while watching this was so intentional, and it totally worked for me.
Okay, so it's going to be really interesting to see where it goes with that, because so many passionate people behind it, and seeing where it goes. It's going to be interesting. Yeah. So our penultimate topic. So what are we playing at the moment? So Andrew, are you playing much or?
To be honest, not much at the moment. What have I been jumping into? I just finished Bayonetta 1 and 2. I mentioned those last week. That was a lot of fun. Completely different to what I expected, and it got a bit strange, but I really enjoyed it. It's a bit of damn fun.
That's cool. I don't have a Wii U. Are those 2 games worth? Are they gonna push systems? Do you think it's worth getting a system for those games?
It's hard to say. I think it's worth it for Smash Bros. And Mario Kart, and then that's a good thing on the side.
Okay.
That's way of saying it.
I was gonna wait till Zelda. I think that would be just to see how that's received. I think that would be one more game that would make me go out and buy it.
If anyone's watching with the same question, go play Metal Gear Rising, and you'll have a good idea of what to expect from that. And if you enjoy that, then yes, it's worth it.
Well, you can't watch any Bayonetta gameplay, can you, on YouTube? But we'll save that for next week, talking about YouTube's situation with Nintendo. So we'll talk about that next week, because that's easily a 20-minute discussion by itself.
That's crazy.
So Braxton, what are you playing?
I just hopped into Evolve. It came out yesterday here. Not really impressed, to be honest. I went in with I had okay expectations. I got burned by Destiny. I thought I enjoyed the game, but I went in with these insane E3 hypes, like this is going to be the game changer for next gen. It was kind of burned by that. Didn't really enjoy it. I went in with just ultra high Watch Dogs expectations, thinking it was going to be the next Grand Theft Auto, and I enjoyed the game. I thought it was good, but still nowhere near that. So having been slightly disappointed with a lot of games that came out of previous E3s and seeing what this game promised, I kind of took a step back and was like, okay, I'm open, but it wasn't something I was gonna pour all of my hype in for because I'm super hyped for the Order, so I needed to spread a little bit of that out for this month.
Yeah,
Yeah, so like it's like
sorry.
Evolve. So basically, like Evolve does seem to have a really mixed reception by first of all the DLC fiasco.
Yeah.
By basically making you need to have like a major in physics to work out what's actually
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really confusing, but after sorting through it, I understand what they're doing. I don't like what they're doing, and I'm actually the guy that's kind of opposed to DLC unless it's story based. Like The Last of Us DLC, for example, or Infamous First Light. I'm on board with those sort of things, but like the Call of Duty Season Pass and stuff, I mean, I can do without it.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It's advertising the esports, so it's really ridiculous to sell things like that as DLC, like extra monsters. It feels really dodgy. Like I was so hyped for that game. Like I really love Turtle Rock. I love the idea of it, but then my hype just slowly trickled down to nothing with the amount of announcements for things like that. Especially a game that price for that little content, it really put me off. It's a shame.
Do you not think it would have been an amazing free-to-play game?
Yeah.
It would have been perfect to have monsters and stuff. Like free-to-play would have been great for it. Like buy the monsters or class that you like. Like let's say, like $4.99 isn't too much. What's that about? I think that's $8 or $9, so not too much per class that you want to play as. Like it would have been perfect as free-to-play. I mean, add all these monsters and everything else on top. But I think they missed it there.
Or just cheaper. Like it's quite an expensive game, and then all the DLC on top. Like they could have sold way more copies.
Yeah, and to be honest, just playing through it, like I put out $60 yesterday for it, and playing it, and how it runs with its leveling up system and stuff. It was like, okay, here's what they should have done. They should have given it to us free and make us pay for the leveling up classes. And the game plays and is set up in its menu system and everything like that seemed like it was the initial plan. And I really feel burned by how much money I put into it and the amount of content that's really there. I mean, there's quite a few maps, but
is there a campaign or
there's a solo mode. So essentially, it's like with Titanfall, a lot of people were frustrated that was an only online game.
Yeah.
And I love Titanfall. I thought it was probably my favorite multiplayer shooter of last year. But it was missing a campaign or at least a solo mode where you can play with bots. And this game Evolve has done it. And it's just a solo mode where you essentially, you can play offline and it's the same game that you would be a multiplayer and you can, tamper with some of the settings and everything. And that's great. I think that's a great feature that if that would have been left out of the game would have just been totally rejected. And just looking at the Metacritic score, critics like it. I believe it's at 83% right now, but it's at 3.4 for users. Like people are just hate it.
No, never trust the user scores on Metacritic because you get zeros, but you get 10.
Yeah.
See, the interesting thing about the scores is that there's like a few publications like Eurogamer, I think, and GameSpot, I think, that they basically haven't put out their scores yet because they want to see how it runs in its first week. Yeah. So the full reviews aren't out yet.
And PC Gamer, GameSpot gave it an 8. Polygon gave it an 8. IGN doesn't have their review up yet. I keep refreshing the page. So yeah, it seems like people really like it. I mean, that's a high grade. I think that's being generous, and it honestly, what's in the game and how they're grading it kind of raises my eyebrows of like how stuff's going on behind the scenes there. I don't want to accuse anybody of anything, but it's perplexing to be honest. And I can see when something like The Last of Us gets a 10 or Grand Theft Auto gets a 10. Some of those things that get a 10 are like those are the 10 games, and there are some reviewers out there that I totally look up to that have reviewed games that I really think that I can resonate and with their opinions. And now with this whole multiplayer scene and always being online connectivity, it's weird how you go about grading and reviewing these things. Like, do you take into consideration matchmaking issues? Halo was a complete mess.
Well, recently, like Eurogamer just got rid of their scores, I think yesterday or day before, which is pretty crazy to get rid of. But in fairness, like that's another whole topic that we'll bring up in a future podcast.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
But so I'm still playing Dying Light. Our review went up earlier today.
Oh, cool.
like last week, I said it was great. It's quite different. Like bearing in mind there's so many zombie games out at the moment, it fits in perfectly. Like you got story with Walking Dead, you got the crazy Dead and the Island, and then you've got like the seriousness of The Last of Us, and then this kind of fits in the more survival mode. So that's good. And then our final topic, I'm recommending a thing to watch over the weekend. So mine is Alien Isolation. We talked about it earlier. It's really good, but when you get enough of it, stop. Like it's really good for like technically for what they've done with the sound and stuff and the AI, and you're so scared in it. But don't push yourself to keep on playing an hour, then an hour, then an hour, because you basically like end up disliking the game. So play it for let's say 6 to 8 hours, and then as soon as you have enough, maybe trade it in or do something like that. So that's my recommendation. And Braxton?
I'll have to go with Silicon Valley, HBO comedy show that season 1's over. They just announced season 2, I believe, yesterday. Hilarious show, absolutely nails male geek culture. It's pretty funny. It's like what would be a comedy social network. These guys building this program in Silicon Valley and worrying about investors and just these up and coming developers. It's really really funny, and they balance a lot of stuff really well. And just with the scene we're all in, and talking about games and technology and everything, it's like it totally speaks to me. And anybody who hasn't seen it should definitely check it out. It's on HBO. You can see it on HBO Go or whatever, and it has, I'm not really one for sitcoms. Like, they really have to sell me. Like, I don't know if you consider The Office a sitcom, but, it's a 22-minute show or whatever. One of the best shows of all time. Absolutely love it.
Well, the UK version's better, but
about the UK version.
No, it's pretty funny. That's pretty funny, too. I enjoyed them both. But, definitely worth checking out. Super, super funny.
Okay, and Andrew?
I've just started watching Community. I'm not the whole way through it. I'm just like halfway through season 2, and I'm really enjoying that. I mean, I was massively put off. I've been recommended it for ages, but Joel McHale kind of ruined the VGA awards a couple of years back. I don't know.
I remember watching that with you, and we were just watching it, and like the internet managed to turn against him, and then he realised, like maybe checking Twitter throughout the VGAs and stuff, and then he just totally gave up. He was just like, no, not having this, and it was the funniest thing to watch.
But I promise you, he's not like that in Community. He's actually pretty funny in Community, and I'm enjoying that. I went off expecting not to like it, like wanting not to like it, but I'm enjoying it, and it's worth watching.
Okay, great. So that's the 3rd episode done. Next week we'll be back with episode 4. Hopefully we'll get another guest on. So we're talking to a few people that are really exciting, but I won't say anything, so it'll curse it. So thanks, Andrew. So where can we find you? Anywhere on the internet or?
I mostly stream to my Twitch with my really easy to remember name of Andy3471. So twitch.tv/Andy3471 if you want to watch more of my stuff.
And Braxton?
You can find me on Twitter at BraxHaugen, and go ahead and visit my website at braxtonhaugen.com. I put up reviews for movies and games and different discussions here and there. So
okay. And I'm at Seymour and CMOORIN, and then everything links back to that page, so you can find everything. And obviously visit theanglymicrowave.com. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, and we've got an RSS feed. But basically, like everything's on there. So if you want to follow us or subscribe, do that. And we're also on Patreon, but it's all on the website if you want to check it out. And that's it. Thanks. Bye. Bye.